Okay, we have ourselves a Atlantic tropical depression or subtropical depression. So let's take a look at the current cone. So you can see not much of a threat to land, maybe a little bit of rain for extreme southeast Newfoundland. Uh, we have little we have tropical storm. It's expected to reach tropical storm later tonight. Uh, but it's going to weaken quickly as it heads off to the north northeast, up into the far North Atlantic. Uh, as of 5 p.m. Monday, it was named Subtropical Depression 4, 35-mile-per-hour winds, right off the coast of right very far south of Nantucket. No watches or warnings up because again, the storm is not going to affect land. It's moving east northeast at 9 miles per hour, and yeah, so I'll talk about the forecast advisory. Go read the forecast advisory out. So you can see, yep. So a non-tropical low pressure system, NHC, has been following it for a couple days. I mentioned it in my last outlook. Uh, it organized and was classified as subtropical. The initial motion estimate is towards the east northeast, and the subtropical depression 4 is located to the north of a ridge, and it's being influenced by a weak westerly to upper level flow, mid to upper level flow. The cyclone is forecast by all global and regional models to move east northeastward, so again, no threat to land, and then turn northeastward on Tuesday. No threat to land. The cyclone, why did it start to intensify? Well, it moved over SSTs of 26 to 26.5 degrees Celsius in the northern extent of the Gulf Stream, and along with negative 58-degree air at 200 millibars, it created a very cold atmosphere with a lot of instability. And it's expected to strengthen because of that, but then eventually it's going to start to weaken. So this is our satellite loop. You can see it's been bursting some convection off to the north. We've even got a little negative 50 burst recently. Subtropical, so you can see the wind field is a little spread out and large, but the spin is definitely there, and I think it might be classified a tropical subtropical storm within the next 6 hours. So as of 0Z, it's not subtropical storm, but it's down to 109 millibars, which I don't believe is any change from the 5 p.m. advisory, unless it is. No, it's not. And it's currently located at 38.5 north and 65.1 west. So, just taking a look at the storms, so the forecast track, again in CNIS lab, right now it's forecast to move off away from land, no risk to any land. Ship observations indicate, and then of course you can see buoy observations also indicate a closed circulation. Of course, shear, an upper level anticyclone right in here, slotted right in here, is kind of preventing, slotted right in here is helping the shear lessen in that area. There's not much, so yeah, you can see there's some dry air to its northwest, and that's wrapping in a little, and that is limiting the convection. Any recent ASCAT passes, they've shown that the winds were in fact around 30 knots. So the vortex, you can see it's pretty all right, and so the dynamical models, so the GFS wants to take it up more to the away from Newfoundland, but the HWRF wants to take it a little closer to Newfoundland. the SATCON consensus, so the satellite analysis, ATMS has it at 109.4 millibars, and 33.1 knots. SSMIS has it at 109.4 millibars and 33.1 knots. And we don't have a SATCON consensus yet. But so the CMIS AMSU is, just ignore that. So, yeah. So let's just turn away from the Atlantic storm for a second. That's interesting and all. But in the EPAC, the Eastern Pacific is lighting up a little. We have storm 1 over here, storm 2 over here, storm 3 right here. So this one is more of going to be gradual development as it heads off to the west. This one could form within the next 2 to 3 days as it heads off to the north. So this one is the most immediate threat, but it does not pose a threat to land. And this one does pose a little bit of a threat to land. Maybe some rains for the desert southwest, but it's still a little early in the year to know for sure any details. It's forecast. It hasn't formed yet, but it is forecast to form. And then, of course, we have another low forecast to form behind that one, and that one could pose another threat to land. So the Eastern Pacific should be watched. Why do we need to watch it? Why is everything suddenly blowing up? Well, let's just take a look at Mr. Eric Webb's Twitter, Eric Weber, whatever his name is. Sorry about this. Sorry. I think I mentioned this yesterday. Yeah. So there's forecast to be a MJO event that's going to come over the Atlantic, and again, so that's helping to enhance tropical cyclone favorability over the Eastern Pacific, and eventually it'll come over the tropical Atlantic and start to enhance activity over there. So yeah, and that is actually demonstrated on the GFS. Just taking a look at the GFS, you can see as we head forward in time, Central American gyre forms, it heads up into the Gulf of Mexico, and eventually it brings some very heavy rains to Florida. It's still too early to know any details about this CAG event that could happen, but again, climatology is a little bit in line with this. It would be kind of late, but climatology would in fact favor it. I think that this has a slight chance of happening, and it should be monitored as we get closer to this situation, closer into early July.